Welcome to our weekly program, The Inside Story of Chabad in America through the Mindel Archives. Today is Tes Adar, the day that the Frierdiker Rebbe came to America. Today is also my mother's yahrzeit, Chana Bashner Zalman. Her father, my Zayde, was the Rebbe's Malamed. So I want to dedicate this program in memory of my mother. Now, to commemorate this special day, Tes Adar, and also the yahrzeit of my mother, at the end of this program, I want to share with you a unique audio, a sicha of the Frierdiker Rebbe, and this was like Be'emer Tovshin Zayin, just a few minutes. Now, the audio is maybe almost an hour, but we're going to do just a few minutes. The beginning is the Rabbi Chadakov and the Rebbe, our Rebbe, are trying to, they have a different opinion of what the Frierdiker Rebbe spoke, because we couldn't understand what the Frierdiker Rebbe is saying. And this audio also, you cannot understand the Frierdiker Rebbe, Pashut. Only some people could, but nobody can understand, at least I can't. So we're just going to play a few minutes. At least we'll hear the voice of the Frierdiker Rebbe. You can see how he gives away his heart. Whatever he speaks, it be the ganze heart. And also, we're going to hear a nigun that by the Frierdiker Rebbe's Fabringen, what nigun they sang. And the Rebbe was there, Rabbi Chadakov was there, Rabbi Mindel was there, Rav Levitin was there, Rav Kazanovsky was there, upstairs of 770. So at the end, in honor of my mother, and the Tes Adar, I will play this audio at the end of this program. Maybe some people heard it, I don't know. So we already discussed in our previous programs about when before they arrived in America, what the Frierdiker Rebbe told Rabbi Mindel and Rabbi Chadakov. We already discussed that. The Frierdiker Rebbe asked my father-in-law, asked Rabbi Mindel, if he should put on a shtreimel before. It's written, I saw it in the archives, I didn't mention it last time. And he told them, at the same time, by the citizen papers, before he also asked them whether he can put a shtreimel. And also we spoke last time about when they arrived, the Malava Malka, which I will not go into today. But today I want to mention of a person who helped the Frierdiker Rebbe come to America. Now there's a lot to speak about that person. He had a special connection with the Rebbe, with the Frierdiker Rebbe. Many letters and meetings that he had with the Rebbe and the Frierdiker Rebbe. I won't spend too much time today about that, but next week in Mitzvah Hashem, we were going to do the conference between the Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe, Rabbi Mindel, and Mr. Julius Stillman. That was his name, Julius Stillman. He was the one who sent an affidavit to Riga to bring the Rebbe, help bring the Rebbe here in 1940. I did find him in the archives that the Frierdiker Rebbe, when he was here in 1929 in America, when he returned back to Russia, he was asked, what does he say about the future of America, of the youth of the American Jewry, the youth of America? And by the way, those days, America was considered by everybody the Treifa Medina. So anybody that was here and returned back to Europe or to Russia, they all said, B'zeh HaLoshen, and it's written, America was a valley of dry bones. But the Frierdiker Rebbe was asked, when he went back to Russia, he was asked, what does he think about America? So the Frierdiker Rebbe answered that I wrote it down, I want to read my notes. And then I'll tell you. I'm going to read now what the Frierdiker Rebbe wrote. He wrote it in Hebrew, but it was translated into English. And everybody was surprised. He explained that he was greatly impressed with the quality of timimus, wholesomeness of heart and sincerity of the Jewish youth in America. And the Rebbe continued, if Jewish youths in Europe excelled in the realm of the mind as intellectuals and Talmidei Chachamim, and those days Europe flourished with yeshivas, that Jewish youth in America excelled in the realm of heart. They were timimizdik, sincere, he wrote, honest, open-minded, and receptive to Torah demands. Tomim tiyeh im Hashem elikecho. You shall be wholehearted with your God. Where there is such timimus, there is great promise. It is fertile soil, also for the Torah scholarship, the perfect synthesis and the blending of the heart and mind, which is the cornerstone of the Chabad philosophy and a way of life. This is what the Frierdiker Rebbe wrote. A decade later, in 1940, when the Hashgacha Halyona, Divine Providence, brought the Rebbe to America, and then he came not as a visitor, he came as an immigrant, and he knew that now it's time to implement what he saw when he was here in 1929. People then, even his followers, said that the Rebbe would be disillusioned, and they didn't believe what the Rebbe would say. But the Rebbe, with his Mesiras Nefesh, showed them different than the people thought, and it gave the life to the so-called lifeless bones. And this is what the Rebbe here wrote. So he felt that America was a place, a Tmimizdik place. Now I want to read to you an affidavit, a copy of the affidavit, cable. It was sent by Julius Stillman on December 28, 1939, to the United States, Riga, Latvia. And he's sending, I'm not going to read the whole cable, but I'm just going to read the beginning. I'm cabling you this affidavit to support quota visa application. Sarah Schneerson, mother of the world Chabad Chief Rabbi Joseph Isaac Schneerson, and also you support application, said Rabbi Schneerson and his wife Nechamedina Schneerson, his son-in-law Rabbi Shmaria Gerari and his wife Chana Gerari Schneerson, and his son Sholom. Although I understand unnecessary giving to financial guarantors already given in the favor by American Chabad denomination, connection bringing Chabad hierarchy to America. People already took achrayus for the Frierdiker Rebbe. And then he says here, my residence, he said where he lives, Mr. Julius Stillman, he writes, and how much money he makes. He had to tell him. He made then over $20,000 his asset, and then a few $100,000 he's worth, whatever. And he said, and he wrote to them that just in case something happens, he is achroi, he is responsible for the Frierdiker Rebbe. In the Mitzvah Hashem next week, we'll see what the Frierdiker Rebbe felt about Mr. Julius Stillman. I also have over here names of the ship went out from the ship that the Frierdiker Rebbe came Wednesday, March 6, 1940, and the name of the ship was Droning Holmes. It went out from Sweden, and it has here the names of all the people that were on the ship when the Frierdiker Rebbe came here. So the Frierdiker Rebbe was on first class with the Rebbetzin Nechamedina and his mother, and Rashag with his wife was also there. Also Chaim Lieberman and Manya, and Rabbi Mindel and the Rabbi Chadakov were in second class. And what I did was, a year ago, I thought, since they were with the Frierdiker Rebbe for a while on the ship, other people, some people came from Stockholm, some people came from New York, from all different, here it says where they come from. I thought I would call somebody to see what's their experience. Did they see the Frierdiker Rebbe? Did they ever say hello to the Frierdiker Rebbe? Of course, the people are in Olam Hamis, but maybe their children would know, or their grandchildren. So finally I got some of the people and I called them, and they told me a few stories that happened in the ship with their grandfather. And the Mitzvah Hashem, in another program, I will share this with you, something amazing. Now today, since it's my mother's yahrzeit, I want to say something about my mother. My father once told me that there was a gadol, I think it was a Meir Mishnaner, I'm not sure, that he had yahrzeit for his mother, elderly mother. And his mother, he had yahrzeit. And he forgot to say Kaddish for his mother. So his mother came to him in a dream. And his mother said to him, "My son, I know you forgot to say Kaddish, I'll forgive you. We know the importance of Kaddish. But I cannot forgive you that you didn't give l'chaim, you didn't give schnapps and cake. Because when people say l'chaim, it's the neshama of the yahrzeit. And people give brachas each other. And people wish each other the best, alle beste gute Sachen. The pleasure of the neshama is even more than Kaddish. This is important when people are together. So since today is my mother's yahrzeit, I want to say l'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim. The neshama should have an aliyah. L'chaim, l'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, b'yir pi hagofen. I want to share with you today, in honor of my mother, a letter of the Rebbe, our Rebbe. They used to go to Menachem Ovel in the 40s. But sometimes he couldn't go to be Menachem Ovel. So he wrote a Nichum Avelim letters, a letter. Now we have in our letter in spirit a section, but there's so much more that we can make a whole book of Nichum Avelim, medical letters of the Rebbe about Avelis, Nichum Avelim. So I chose this letter to share with you today. And the Rebbe starts with a mashal, and the mashal is already written. There was a man standing in front of an ocean, and he was meditating. It's quiet, shashtil, und tracht. Then he picks up his head on his right side, he looks on his right side, and he sees hundreds of people are dancing and saying l'chaim, and eating, and a simcha gedola b'yosir, a big simcha. What's the simcha? That day a ship was built, and today is the first time that the ship is going across the ocean for a long journey. So everybody's happy. Then the man turns to his left side, and he sees a handful of people standing and waiting for an old ship coming back to its final destination. So the man says to himself, look, here is a ship that's going out for the first time. We don't know whether the ship will sink. We don't know whether the ship will overcome all the milchamas, the wars. We don't know whether the ship will overcome all the storm and the winds. We don't know. Nevertheless, everybody's saying l'chaim, and they should say l'chaim, because they should give brachas that nothing should happen. What about that ship that's coming to its final destination and already overcame all the milchamas and it didn't sink? It's coming back complete a whole ship to its final destination? Do people care? A handful of people, excuse me, are there to be makabel upon him. And the Rebbe was saying the nimshal, that a neshama comes down to this world. We don't know what's going to happen to the person. This is Olam HaSheker. This is Olam Chayshech Kofel Mechupal. It's a dark world. And there's a lot of tests, a lot of nisyonis. And we don't know whether that person will overcome all the nisyonis, overcome all the wars, all the nisyonis, all the storms, all the beruchnias. Nevertheless, everybody is happy. We make a Sholom Zachar, we make a bris, we make a kiddush, which is supposed to be. But what if a person already, he left the world, and the person raised a family, kids, children, and grandchildren, and lived a good life, a spiritual life? Do people really care? And people should put their mind and think about it. This is what Rabbi says. So today I want to say, my mother, there's a saying, Eizahu Osher Hasameach Bechelkai. Who is called rich? Who is happy what they have. My mother was the type of a person, she was a happy person. Whatever she had, she didn't have money. And she didn't care about money. Money is given garnished. Whatever she had, she was always happy. She didn't need much. Because Osher means rich. Rich is not money. Ayin of Osher is a Naim. She looked at people always with a good eye. Shin is Shinayim, teeth. Yud is Yodayim. Reish is Raglayim. Her whole Metzias was kindness and goodness. She shatilim all the time. And she raised a good family. This is my mother. Now, the Frierdiker Rebbe Tamol gesagt, he once said that Geld is blotte. Geld is Gimel, Ayin, Lametes is 112, and blotte is 112. When you take manure, blotte, and you spread it out in the field and soil, it becomes fertilized, it becomes good when you spread it out. But when you keep manure, blotte, when you keep it together in one spot, it starts to smell. When a person has money, if he has money, it means nothing. It smells. He can have all the real estate in the world, but it smells. But when you spread it out, when you give tzedakah, when you do gemilas chasodim, this is when geld means something. So my mother, geld ba'iri given garnishnit. She did whatever she can, whatever money she had for tzedakah, whatever gemilas chasodim she did. So I want to say that the neshama is al-homa and aliyah, and not an aliyah. The neshama should also have a yerida. It should come down in a neshama beguf, but chis hamesim, and we should be zeicher to the gula shlema b'meheira v'yomeinu. Now, I want to say that we are going to play now the audio of just maybe 10 minutes, whoever wants to listen, and we can hear the Frierdiker Rebbe's call, his voice. We can see how he gives away his heart to the way he speaks, but unfortunately we couldn't understand him. In Mitzvah Hashem, next week we are going to a special program about the meetings of the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe, Mr. Cohen, Rabbi Chadakov, and Rabbi Mindel. Thank you.
Eben a größer und a breiter Vestibel und noch gar a schmaler Zinner, was durch den Zinner kämen herangießen, in gar kleiner Kelimlach, was in dem seinen dort 2 Miles. Und das ist das, ne? Nicht das ist es. Was die Interesse ist dort, können mit Kabel sein, die Scherwasser, wie sie kommt gleich vom Ocker, und da sehen wir die Größe Kehlen, und soll nicht neben werden, auch viel weiter offen. Das ist schon genug ist das. Wenn der dritte Winter wird gesehen, weiß man nicht genau, welche rechnet. Wir stehen mit der Stelle zusammengedreht, 2 Jahren. Und da waren gute, die Städten, da wird Jerusalem, da war es in der Flasche.
als Mashiach-Zeiten.